Wejdź na groundgame.com.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, Kamaro. Thanks for the time today. How are you doing?
Wait, John, you didn't get the first question? Come on.
He's doing video right now, so he's passed the reins.
Okay.
I like that jacket. Where'd
you.
that one come from?
Oh, this is me right here. You know, at Usman84kg.com. Go ahead, click the link. Get you a jacket. Nice new one.
We're going big time now. You're starting your own clothing line?
Yeah, of course. You got to start at something. I can't get punched in the face forever.
There you go. Obviously, this is a rematch people have wanted to see for a long time. It's been almost 2 years. How much do you think you've evolved since the first fight? Do you think you've I know you said you've lapped the division, but do you feel like you've lapped Colby in terms of skills?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just in a place to where I understand what I do. I understand where I'm at. You know, early on in my career, it was like, oh, you live and fight. Literally, you're living fight to fight. So it's like, I got to survive. I got to win. I got to win. I got to win. I'm in a position now to where it's, you know, I just want to perform the best that I can. I want to continue to have these legendary performances because, you know, I have a lot less to go than where I've come from. So want to make them memorable so my daughter and my kids can look back one day and say, wow, Daddy, you did that, you know. So that's really what I care about right now.
And just this night, I mean, the teammates, obviously Justin and Rose, can you give us some insight into what the training for this has been like, and obviously you being the one that's going to look to try to close the show for the team?
It's been phenomenal. I think in Jacksonville, the last fight I fought, it was great. I wanted Rose on that card as well, and you know we were able to make it happen, and obviously you saw what we produced that night. But we felt a little incomplete. Yes, Justin was there, so it definitely helped us feel better. But we felt a little incomplete because we didn't get to watch that madman throw down. So, you know, as soon as, you know, this was a tentative date that we were looking at, I said, yo, how about we get Justin on that too? And of course, our wonderful manager, Ali Abdelaziz, was able to try to make that happen for us. And for you guys, it's going to be a treat as well.
And you're never short on confidence as it was, but to do what you did to Jorge Masvidal in the last fight, what did that do to just your self-belief and just, you know, not only knowing what you can do, but seeing it put into practice?
A lot of this is manifestation in the work that I've put in. You know, you put in a lot of work for years, like, and I say it, and I know I say it, and it's kind of hard for people to imagine, but, you know, I was putting in work when I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was putting in work just to work, hoping that one day it's going to turn into something. And it eventually did. And of course, you visualize and you imagine all the things that you want to do. And I knew it. Right after that fight, I don't know if you guys ever saw the video on Anatomy of a Fighter. You know, shout out to my man, Will Harris. I was backstage and I was just unhappy. I was unhappy with the performances, like I mentioned earlier. I want to go out there and leave these performances to where when I'm done, I can look back and be happy with. And I was unhappy with that. I was like, no, you know, yes, it was tough because I took the fight on 6 days' notice. And as hard as it is to believe, I went through more adversity than he did. But of course, mine wasn't published because I don't need to do all of that, you know. And going out there and still been performing like that, I just didn't feel like that was my best. So I wanted to right that wrong. So of course I was confident. I knew what I was able to do. I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew what I was going to do. I manifested it. I saw it over and over and trained it, practiced it. Went out there and to put an emphatic finish like that on for the people. It really lets you guys know what I've been saying for years. You know, I'm the most vicious and most well-rounded welterweight there's ever been. And I think that proved it.
You mentioned righting a wrong with Masvidal. What about Colby? Is there anything from that first fight that lingers with you that you want to correct in this one? He's obviously said a ton about the refereeing and claiming you fouled him and this and that and the other thing. Is there any of that with you that you are hoping to correct with this win?
No, nothing lingered at all. I mean, you know, like you guys saw the viral video of me and him talking when he turned red. It's simple. It wasn't a decision. I finished you. And of course, he did the best he could. I actually like the fact that, you know, he stuck with the excuses and he kept making the excuses because, again, it made you guys all want to see that again, right? And so, yeah, he did a wonderful job there. But he said, he's saying, oh, it's a fake eye poke when the masses watch you finger my eye. You know, he said it wasn't a nut shot, and I got 5 minutes. He grazed my cup. That's true. And of course, as a man, when your cup gets grazed, you anticipate what's coming after that pain. And I was anticipating the pain, and then after about 30 seconds, you guys can go back and watch the video. Literally about 30 seconds, I'm like, yeah, that pain's not coming. Let's scrap. Let's go. And we continued on. And you saw the shot where I broke his jaw. Clean off, clean shot. He was holding his eye. Did you guys see that? He was holding his eye. He was complaining to the ref that he was an eye poke. And even the commentators, DC was like, and that was a straight right hand right on the button. And he said it was his eye. So who was actually claiming fouls here? You know, but at the end of the day, he's done a great job of getting the public to believe that. And, you know, I commend him for that. But for me, the wrong that I want to right is just kind of, in that fight, I fought with emotion. As much emotion as I was willing to display is what I fought with. And which is why I think obviously I got hit quite a bit. But it was fun. I had fun. That lets you know that I got a little madman in me too. You know, I don't mind getting hit. But I would say I want to make it a little bit more flawless this time around.
And two more quick ones. How much do you just look forward to putting this man behind you? I assume if you beat him again, there won't be much talk about a third fight, at least for quite a while. So is that something that you are keen to have happen, just no more Colby Covington being brought up to you?
I don't know. I don't know, because now I'm in the business of pay-per-view. So I don't know if I want him that far back, you know. Of course, I want to go out there and stop him. But, you know, I want him to quickly make his way back so I can stop him again for a little bit more money.
And last thing, I'm sure you're going to be asked about Khamzat Chimaev plenty this week. I remember I interviewed you earlier this year, and I asked you about him before he had, you know, to take all this time off, and you said, all respect to the guy, you showed no ill will. The fact that he seems to be getting a very quick push where you had to do 9 fights before you got a title opportunity. What are your thoughts on him now? Is he someone that you see quickly coming on your radar?
First and foremost, you know, he's done a tremendous job with the opposition that he's been presented with. You know, no shame in that. He's doing great. You know, I like it. I love all the hype that's being there. Like, let's all be honest. You know, life is not fair. You know, we learn that as kids. You know, life isn't fair. So I know, you know, some guys get a faster push, some guys don't. But it is what it is. You know, more power to him. You know, he's doing a phenomenal job with the position that he's being put in. So, you know, hats off to him. As far as me, you know, I'm at a point in life to where I'm starting to understand, you know, how much this takes from me. And, you know, I've been 9 weeks now away from my daughter, and, you know, FaceTime does help, but it doesn't do it justice, you know, as far as being there each and every day. So, you know, obviously I don't know how much longer I'm willing to do this, you know. They have to make sense for me now. So if he's able to get there, then, you know, we'll talk about it at that point.
Come on, right here. First of all, is your knuckle okay?
Yeah. Oh, no, it's okay. You know, when you wrestle and you scrap a lot, you might get a scratch here and there. And, you know, of course, you got to pull a Band-Aid so you don't bleed all over everything.
And before Israel's rematch, Marvin Vettori, he kind of pointed to your fight against Jorge, where you didn't have to take that fight. You still took it to answer the questions, and he viewed that as starting the second lap, which he's now doing. So is this the start of the second lap for you around this division against Colby?
The start? Oof. Bro, I'm running. I'm sprinting past these dudes. I'm looking back and smiling at them now. You know, this is a fun one. I'm having fun with this now. That's the thing. I'm having fun with it now. Like I've said before, I've been classically trained in all of this, in this sport. You know, coming up and watching guys like Sugar Rashad Evans and going with him to these media tours and these big fights. You know, I was able to get an inside look at what this could be to where I was able to dream and manifest what I wanted to be. So being up here and having these opportunities now, I'm just, I'm blessed, and, it feels great. I'm having fun.
And obviously, since your first fight with him, you've since joined Trevor Whitman. He's also changed camps, and he said he's added a whole lot of new wrinkles to his game. So are you expecting a completely new Colby Covington, or is it like what Tyson Fury's corner said when they fought Deontay Wilder, like a fighter's always just going to go back to what got them to the dance, no matter how much they try to add this deep into their career?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you guys have saw what I've done because, I've been fighting, so you guys have seen that. For him, I can't necessarily say the same because knowing the kind of guy that he is, and like I said, we have mutual friends, so I get a good glimpse. I've gotten a good glimpse of who this guy is outside of the cage, and judging by that, I think he's the same asshole, and yeah, just at a new team. So at the end of the day, when you get in there with a lion like me and I hit you in the mouth, you're going to resort to what you know best, and you're going to throw whatever those coaches are saying out the window because you don't really give a shit because you're really an asshole. So.
And finally, Michael Chandler was in here earlier, and he jokingly called you a narc. And then he obviously he was joking. He said he still considers you a good friend. Justin Gaethje said that even if he asked you for advice, it wouldn't even matter because they're still getting into a fist fight. So as someone who knows both men very well, what can fans expect in that fight? I'm not asking you for a prediction, but just the fight in general.
No, I'm playing. Michael Chandler's a very, very good fighter, explosive fighter. It's one of the reasons me and him kind of bonded while he came down to H kickboxing a few years back is the fact that we like to work, we like to train smart, and we like to train hard and often. And so me and him gravitated towards one another. And so yeah, I was able to get a good glimpse of who he is as a competitor, and excellent fighter. Very good, hard-nosed fighter. It's so funny how similar these guys are. Justin's just a savage, really. The only word to describe him. This is a guy that kind of loves fighting. I'm being honest with you guys. I don't necessarily love fighting. I love to compete, but this guy just loves what he does. He eats, sleeps, and breathes this. So you guys can expect just the fireworks. And this is one of those fights to where if both of these men are standing after that third round, you could tell that they're just nuts, just madmen. They could definitely take a shot.
Come on, we mentioned Hamzat here, and you said you haven't got long left in this career. When people start bringing up names like him to you, is there a feeling of like, oh, a champion's work is never done? Like you get rid of one guy and there's already the next guy ahead of you.
I mean, that's how it is. Like, come on. After I get done with the fight, what did you guys do last time? I just sent Masvidal to the shadow realm, and you guys are, so who's next? Is Kobe next? Like that's what it is. It's always going to be that way. And if all champions, especially some of the best champions in the world, continue to listen to that, then basically all you guys want to see is me continue to be successful until I'm not successful. Then you guys can then put that stamp on it and say, he's washed up, he needs to leave. I want to be that champion who does it I want to do it on my own time. I like Khabib, and I know a lot of people have been throwing a lot of shades, saying a lot of things about Khabib leaving when he wanted to leave. That's how you do it. Even George St. Pierre, that's how you do it. You leave when you want to leave. You don't let the sport retire you. So, yeah, whenever I feel like, that time's there, it's time for me to go.
We speak about you lapping the division now, and I think you're in this legacy building phase of your career where people are just kind of throwing any situation at you to see, oh, what can he rise to? I saw you do an interview yesterday, like, oh, can you win another belt? For you personally, what builds more for your legacy? Lapping a division over and over again, or winning a second title in a one-off?
To me, I don't really, let's be honest, I've kind of done what there is to do in MMA, in UFC. This Saturday, live on ESPN, pay-per-view at Madison Square Garden. What's bigger than that? I've headlined pay-per-views before. The first event back with fans. And look how that looked, how that pay-per-view went. Fought Kobe the first time, T-Mobile Arena, headlined that. Went all the way to Abu Dhabi, headlined that, in Fight Island 1. I mean, what is there to do in the sport? I've done it all, You talk about legacy. Like, look what I've done to this point. When I'm done and I walk away, guys are going to look back and say, wow, he was special, just like we've done with some of the greats. And so if I'm looking at legacy, I want to do something that's not been done before. You know, these guys don't really scare me anymore. I mean, of course, there is the fear of myself and not, you know, competing and not looking the way that I want to look. But what scares me is since when in history have we ever seen pound for pound in both combat sports at their prime go at it? We've never seen that. You know, wouldn't the world love to see that? I know I would.
Kamaru, to your left over here. You know, not to give anything away, but for the last fight with Colby, you kind of said, I'm going to keep it on the feet for the fans, throw down with them a bit. This time around, I'm getting the sense from you that maybe not having the same feeling. So, like I said, not to give anything away, but can we expect some wrestling in this one? What are we thinking?
Listen, I'm better than this guy in every way possible. I'm just better than him. And that's just one thing that I do well that I didn't realize until, you know, these wins started racking up. I'm like, I kind of control these fights and where they take place and how they go. You know, let's work on that. And so, yeah, the fight's going to play out wherever I want him to play out. Like, obviously, if he wants to not take as much punishment, he's going to try to wrestle. Then he's going to realize very quickly, I'm a much better wrestler than him. Then he's going to have no choice but to stand. Well, if I want to take him down, I could have taken him down. And I can take him down if I want. So we'll have to see. The only thing is, you know, like I said, that first one I wanted to, the world wouldn't have been satisfied if I hadn't done that to him. And so that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to do that. This one, I'm going to be strategic, but you can rest assured that I still want to do some harmful things to him.
And I wanted to ask about your brother Mohammed, who, you know, he's coming off a loss in the PFL, but, you know, that's always a big kind of thing for fighters, you know, to turn around and come back from that. So I'm just curious how you've kind of been helping him and, you know, giving, you know, sharing advice and all that kind of thing going forward and what potential he has still in the sport. Yeah,
I mean, that wasn't his first loss. You know, that was his second loss. You know, he lost before and he bounced back and he you know, he got some wins and then got that opportunity. So he's going to do the same. He right away, you start to realize, maybe I'm not where I want to be yet. So let me get back to the drawing board. So since then, you know, he's really made the move out to Colorado, and he's putting a lot of emphasis on his training. So, you know, we want to make him the, you know, the savage that he wants to be. So eventually he'll get there, and you guys will be talking to him and not me.
All right, best of luck tomorrow.
Tomorrow, over here on your right, you mentioned pound for pound versus pound for pound. I assume you're talking about Canelo Alvarez, the pound for pound top boxer.
Yes, absolutely. Since when have we ever seen the pound for pound mixed martial artists go up against the pound for pound boxer, both in their prime? Not when they're old or retired and you're trying to pull them back, both in their prime. I think that's something that I think the biggest ever in history. And that's what I'm looking to do. That's something that scares me. That's something that gets me up in the morning. That's something that I might risk leaving my daughter for another 12 weeks for. So, you know, we'll see. That's something that I'm looking at. And, you know, God willing, you know, this Saturday we do what we need to do, then why not?
Will you actively try to make that fight happen if you beat Colby on Saturday?
I mean, yeah, you know, pound for pound mixed martial artist in the world versus pound for pound boxer in the world, promoted by the pound for pound Dana White. Why not? Why not? You know, why not?
And you're, I mean, coincidentally enough, you're actually going head to head with him this week.
I know.
Saturday.
We'll see who does better. I mean, we're both in the business of entertainment nowadays. He's going to entertain on the same night. So are we. We'll see who does better numbers, and then we're going to sit there and we'll have a discussion with the pound-for-pound best promoter in the game, in Dana White, and we'll try to make something happen.
Have you spoken to Dana about this? Have you expressed this wish to him?
Yeah, you know, Dana's hearing about it now, I guarantee you. He's hearing about it now, and that's one thing that I love about Dana is if it makes money, makes sense. So hopefully we have that conversation.
Who wins that fight, you or Canelo? And you're
Me or
talking
Canelo?
about boxing, too, right?
In boxing, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, come on now. He wouldn't dare come in here. Let's be honest. You know, that's the thing is we have to pursue these guys because we're willing to take that risk. You know, I don't know if they're willing to pursue us. So let's be honest. You know, that, like I said, there's a reason that scares me. That scares me because, you know, he's a master at his craft. And, you know, he's used to these boxers. He's used to the boxing speed and the boxing, you know, movements and things like that. We're different. You know, sometimes different could be good. What's wrong with giving him a different look? So, of course, it's a tall tree to climb, but, you know, we saw what happened the last time I was an underdog.
Colby, finally the fight week you've been waiting such a long time for, man. I know you wanted this fight much sooner than it happened, but as we talked about earlier this year, you're waiting for New York, Madison Square Garden. Does this feel like the right time for all this to finally happen?
Yeah, I think it's the perfect time. You know, this first fight was supposed to be in Madison Square Garden, so better late than never. Now we get to do the rematch here. It makes it that much bigger and that much more special. So I'm just so excited for Saturday night and got so many surprises in store.
Yeah, can you give us any hints of what those might look like?
Oh, come on, man. You know I'm the king of spoilers, but I can't be giving no spoilers out, you know. You watch the beginning of a movie, you don't get to see the end. You got to pay attention. You got to watch the movie to see the ending.
Unless we follow you on Twitter, then we might find out first.
You might follow me on Twitter, but I can't promise or make any guarantees.
What's the feeling towards Kamaru coming into this week? I know there's been a lot of heat going into the first fight, but there's been a little less media and stuff like that going into this one. So can you just kind of vocalize what you feel about him right now?
Yeah, I go to bed every single night with revenge on my mind, and I realize that revenge is a dish best served cold, and I'm going to serve that revenge dish to Marty on Saturday night, and I got some really bad intentions for him. He's not going to want to come back for round 3 after I'm done with him Saturday night.
What do you think is the biggest difference within you since the first fight? I know, like, you probably, maybe there's not even that many holes to poke in from your perspective from the first fight because you feel like you were wrong by the tactics and the referee and stuff, but what do you feel you need to change for this rematch?
First thing that I changed, the biggest thing is the people around me, the team that I have around me now. Daniel Valverde, my judo, jiu-jitsu coach, my striking coach, Cesar Carnero, and my strength and conditioning coach, Jonathan Lopez, and my other coach, Charlie Weiss. I just have a newfound energy around me, people that actually genuinely care about me and they want to see me win. They're not just showing up to get paychecks and just work to throw me out there into the fire. They actually have been developing my skills, and we've been growing as a fighter every single day. And you're going to see new wrinkles in my game. We've updated the software. I'm going to control alt delete Marty on Saturday night.
And with that in mind, and you kind of look back at the first fight, do you see things that maybe, whether it was through tactics in your training camp or advice you got in the fight itself, that weren't the right things that now you can see with these people has changed dramatically?
Absolutely. If you go back and look at the first fight and the instructions that I were getting, they were telling me something that I do every single day. They were saying, Colby, breathe. Dude, we breathe every single day. Why are you telling me to breathe? I mean, everybody in this room knows how to breathe. Not everybody knows how to fight and knows how to instruct fighters and the right instructions to fight. So I made a lot of mistakes in that first fight, and that was my worst night, and I was still able to do that, and that was his best night. So Saturday night, you're going to see the upgraded software.
And it's been a long layoff for you. Are you someone who has any belief in cage rust, or do you think once you get in there, it's just going to be right back into your groove?
I work hard every single day in silence, and I let success make the noise. And, people that believe in ring rust are the people that are mentally weak. If you believe that there's ring rust, then it's probably going to happen. I don't believe in that. I've been making so many strides with my new gym, with my new coaches, Daniel, Cesar, Jonathan, Charlie. We've developed a new game plan, a new strategy, and we're going to show you guys Saturday night. I can't tell you, I am the king of spoilers, but I can't give you any secrets.
And last one from me. You mentioned you're going to control alt delete him. He's not going to want a part 3. So what does the Colby Covington title reign look like if you got this done? Is it Leon Edwards? Is it the new guy on the block, Khamzat Chimaev? What are you looking forward to in terms of your title reign?
Khamzat Chimaev, he's got to do a lot more work than get 3 fights in the UFC. You guys hype these guys up real quick, but let's not forget that he was put down by the common cold. He was ready to retire off the common cold. That's a 99.9% survival rate to beat the common cold, and Khamzat Chimaev was ready to give it up and retire. So, he doesn't want to fight me. He's got a way less chance than 99.9% chance against me.
So who do you think it will be?
As the people's champion, I do what the people want and what the UFC wants. Whoever the biggest fight is, that's the fight I want, But, I'll leave that hands in the people and the UFC who they want me to fight next.
Colby, I'm not sure that's the proper pronunciation of Chimaev's first name. We'll just throw that out there. But I want to ask you, what did your new coaches say? I'm sure you guys sat down and watched the first fight, right? And they weren't involved. What were their immediate observations that they saw that they knew they could make a difference with you?
What's the proper way to say his name then? It's not Cumshot?
I don't think so.
Oh,
Some of those are a little tricky, I know, but I think it's Hamzat, I believe.
Oh, tomato.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Whatever.
So what were the observations? When I mean, you guys probably sat down and watched the fight, right? What did they see in that?
We just saw a lot of mistakes that I made. We saw, how I was fighting emotional. I threw my game plan out the window. I just wanted to put a good show for the fans, and I didn't stick to what got me to the dance, and that's pace, pressure, wrestling, and just an all-rounded mixed martial arts game. So we've dissected every second of it, every millisecond of it, and we see a lot of the tendencies and patterns that he has in his game, and we just know we're going to expose him Saturday night. So God bless, Cesar Carnero and Daniel Valverde, Charlie Weiss, and Jonathan Lopez. We had a great game plan, and we're ready to go.
Colby, right here. You've changed camps, but Kamaru's also changed camps. In his last 2 fights, he's actually put his opponents away after you've called him Marty Snoozman for so long. So have you seen any changes in his game at all, and are you expecting a completely different fight from him as well?
Marty Fake Newsman, he's been fighting lightweights. He hasn't fought a welterweight like me. He's been fighting a guy that was a journeyman that had all the hype that the media put lightning on a bottle on this guy. I'm talking about Street Judas Masvidal. The guy's got double-digit losses, almost 20 losses on his record. You talk about hype. That makes you the best pound-for-pound fighter by knocking out a guy like that. Dude, I was knocking that guy out for the last 15 years. I beat him up, knock him out in my living room for free every single night when we lived together. There's no impressive or honor in doing that. And the other guy he beat, Dilbert, that guy is a lightweight. Like, the guy was getting knocked out by a hooker. Like, what's so honorable about that? What makes him pound for pound? I'm going to expose him Saturday night. And, Marty Juiceman is not going to have nowhere to run or hide.
Colby, one of the big stories coming into this fight, I think, is that Kamaru's striking is the aspect of his game that's particularly evolved. Do you agree with that assessment, or do you think he remains the same as when you fought him?
He remains exactly the same. He's able to take these guys down, get them tired, they drop their hands, and he lands a big shot. Nothing impressive. He can't take me down. Saturday night I'll show that, there's just different levels to this game. I'm going to make him fight and put him in situations that no one else could put him in before, and it's going to be a completely different matchup.
I saw an interview he did yesterday where he had expressed an interest in boxing Canelo Alvarez. Do you think that might be a sign that he's overlooking you?
Just more fake news and easier landing for him. He just wants a way out for after I beat him up on Saturday night for him to say, oh, he wasn't focused. Oh, I was, it just gives him an exit plan, like, oh, I was focused on Canelo. Oh, I was focused on going up a weight. I wasn't focused on Colby. Let me, be begging the UFC for a rematch.
Dana has made his thoughts about this, your first fight with Kamaru, well known that he loved that fight, thought it was one of the best of all time. Do you think there's a chance then, if you beat Kamaru on Saturday, that they'll want you to do a trilogy fight right away?
I hope so. I'd love to beat him up back-to-back times, but I just know I'm going to give him life-altering damage Saturday night, and he's not going to come back for a trilogy. He's going to probably retire.
Colby, to your left over here. I know you're saying no spoilers, but would it be kind of nice to be the first guy to ever take down Usman? You're looking to wrestle maybe a little bit?
I can't dive too much into my game plan or what I want to do, but yeah, that'd be a nice little feather in a cap. Take that stat from him. I know I can do it. I'm the guy to do it. He's Division II scrub. I was a Division I All-Star, and so there's levels to the wrestling game, and there's a reason he didn't try and shoot on me in the first fight. So you'll definitely see a more well-rounded mixed martial arts skill set this fight from me.
And not to overlook him or anything, but do you have aspirations of maybe being a double champ, whether it's to drop to lightweight or middleweight after you get the welterweight title?
Absolutely. I see both weight classes is very open for me. The guy at middleweight can't wrestle. He got taken down by a guy that's never wrestled in his life. And in the lower weight class, that guy's a scrub too. So I'd love to get my hands on Louisiana Swamp Trash, Dustin Poirier. He talked all that shit to the media, said it's on site with me. So guess what, Dustin? You name the site. Let's do it. Bring that little Jezebel of a wife and that little prop you call as a kid.
And last thing for me, on this event, we also have Rose and Weili too. And in the lead up to that first fight, there was kind of some controversy with comments Rose made. Don't know if you saw those, but if you did, do you think that they were crossing the line as somebody, rather outspoken yourself?
I can't say that I saw it. I don't really pay attention to anything other than what's on my plate ahead of me. I got to focus on the business that I got Saturday night, and that's getting revenge. I wake up every single morning with that revenge and vengeance on my mind, and just have nothing else in my head but getting that revenge.
Hey, Chaos, right here. You're having quite the day on the microphone, if I may say so. but I have a question for Colby. Do you ever miss those days where you didn't have to always publicly turn it up to an 11?
No, I don't miss those days. You know, those days I was broke, you know, and I wasn't making the paychecks that I'm making now. So, you know, I love what I do. I'm thankful to be in the UFC, and, you know, God bless Dana White and Hunter Campbell for giving me these opportunities.
You know, people have one certain way of feeling about you. You know, either they're into it, they're down for it, or there's some hate with it. With all of the attention that it's brought, you know, has it been worth it? Like, did it bring you the personality? Did it bring you all the opportunities that you were wanting back in those days?
The biggest thing is the UFC stands for the Ultimate Fighting Championships. This is not the Ultimate Feelings Championship. So, you know, I'm here to take checks, break necks, and send people out on stretchers like I did my last fight. So if people are mad at me because I love America, I love my president, that's their problem. I could give a fuck less what their opinion is, you know. The biggest thing that, you know, any of you in this room can have a different opinion than me. I agree to disagree. I'm not going to berate you for your opinion like you guys try to do to me. I'm going to respect you because I'm respectful. And in America, we have freedoms, you know, land of the free, home of the brave. You know, we have constitutional rights. You got freedom of speech, and I'm not going to be mad at you for whatever you believe in.
My final one. You have, I believe, a nickname for just about every contender in the welterweight division. Is there a particular favorite one that you came up with that you're like, ooh, that was a good one that I came up with?
Yeah, I think Marty Usman, the CEO of EPO, it fits him pretty good. You know, he's a 35-year-old middle-aged man, and he looks like he has a chemical imbalance. The guy's got acne all over his face, all over his shoulders and back. Why is that? Are you going through puberty at 35? I thought men did that at like 16 or 17.
Thank you.
Weird.
Colby, you have these NYPD and FDNY hats in front of you. Obviously, you put them there. What do they mean to you? Why did you decide to do that?
It means everything to me. That's who I'm fighting for this Saturday night. You know, law enforcement and all first responders around the world, not just NYPD and not just, you know, FDNY, you know, but them in particular, because what they did for and what they stand for in 9/11 and here in New York City. You know, I just appreciate their service and sacrifice. Every day they leave their homes, you know, to protect and serve, you know, our people in our communities, not knowing if they're going to go back to their wives and their kids. So, you know, I just want to show my support for them and dedicate this fight to them.
Now, obviously, you know, you're saying that you appreciate their risking their lives and everything like that, but they're also dying of COVID, you know, the virus that you're calling is the common cold. You know, we've lost 21-year veterans, we've lost all these type of people. Do you have respect for people that have obviously lost their lives to COVID as well on the front lines?
Absolutely. You know, anybody that loses their life, it's a terrible tragedy, but, you know, you got to take better care of yourself. There's probably underlying conditions why maybe some of those things happen, but, you know, God bless them, rest their souls, and you know, let's move on and get over this pandemic. And, you know, we all know that healthy people, you know, this common cold doesn't affect healthy people. So as long as you're healthy out there, then you're going to be all right.
Have you reached out to FDNY or NYPD since you've been here? Do you have a relationship existing with anybody from there?
Yeah, I have a relationship. I know, you know, one of my quartermen, Charlie Weiss, has been able to get in contact with them, and we wanted to go, you know, visit their bases and go to their compounds and say what's up, but just the risk of getting COVID this week, we didn't want to take any risks before the fight and contract and anything. We wanted to make sure we stayed healthy and socially distanced and kept our space from everybody so we could get to the Octagon Saturday night and put on a show live on pay-per-view.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Hey, Colby. Usman has 18 fights in a row that he's won in his career, and basically he's saying he's the father of the division and everyone else are his sons. What do you have to say about that?
He ain't the father of this division. He's my son, and, you know, there's a reason he had to take fake breaks the first time we fought. And, you know, I kicked him in the liver. He was ready to quit, and I was his daddy. And then all of a sudden, you know, the ref stops and, oh, let's give this guy a timeout. Let's give him a break in the middle of a fist fight. We're not playing a kid's game. We're not playing basketball. We're not playing football. These are little kids' games. Those are play games. We're playing fighting. We're playing to kill, and there's no timeouts in fighting. So he has no reason to be saying he's a father of anything. If anybody, I'm his daddy, and I'm going to show him Saturday night.
What do you have to say about, I heard you were denying that your jaw was broke in the last fight. A lot of people say that you did have a broken jaw.
Yeah, that's fake news, and it's standard for Marty Fake Newsman spitting fake news out of his mouth. Any of you journalists out there could go out on the internet and deep dive and find this fake X-ray that they tried to put on the internet. Look at the way it read my name. It said Colby Covington, face across. Everybody knows on the X-ray scan that it would show your name upside down. So all the fake journalists in the crowd right now that put that fake X-ray out there just shows why you're fake news and you're in the littlest sports league.
Colby, over here on your right. It seems like you're about a plus 245 underdog for this rematch. Considering how close the first fight was, does that surprise you or upset you at all?
You know, it doesn't surprise me because all the marks, all the people that truly believe in this guy's hype, you know, it's amazing. And it just really shows me that all my supporters and people that believe in me, I'm going to make them rich and I'm going to make them happy. But all the people that are hyped and believing in the hype and this guy being unbeatable, you know, they're going to be sad on Saturday night. They're going to go broke and their bank account's not going to be great again.
And last one for me. Two of your favorite welterweights, Jorge Masvidal and Leon Edwards, will face off next month. What do you think of that matchup?
There's nobody on the UFC roster that Street Judas, that fragile guy Masvidal, he can beat right now. That guy's washed up. I mean, I saw the discipline and the way he trained for years. The guy's nothing. I mean, he has no skill set, and he completely got melted his last fight. I mean, has he woken up yet from his last fight? Who knows if he's probably still sleeping, so I don't know if he's ready to go fight yet. He's definitely concussed and fragile, so there's not a guy on the roster that Street Judas Masvidal can beat.
Thanks, Colby.
Colby, with one quick one with that in mind, do you find some common ground with Kamaru and the fact that he did that to Masvidal? Did that make you like him anymore?
No, not at all. I have no respect, no love for that guy. He's a cheating coward, so there's nothing he could do that could make me respect him.
Hey, Rose, how are we doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking. What's it like being back here? Does New York and this fighting at MSG, does this hold a special place in your heart at all?
Of course, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool to be back here. New York has grown on me the more that I get to know it, and it's an amazing city.
Yeah, and I mean, this one in particular, you got the two teammates on the card. It's the, you know, the show for all you guys. So what's it been like throughout this camp and just the vibes coming into this week?
The vibes. The vibes are good, man. Really prepared, and I don't know, we're just like on point with everything.
And you've been in this scenario before, you know, the rematch and everything like that right away after a quick win. How much were you able to take away from the situation with the Joanna fights and apply them to this?
With my other rematches, how I apply to this?
Yeah.
With all my rematches, I always I try to take into consideration a little bit as far as like how can the other person be different, what I learned from the first fight, but ultimately that's, you know, just a portion of it. The majority of what I go into a rematch with is just it's a brand new fight. And I just have to be the best version of myself no matter what, because, you know, anything is possible, anything can happen, so I had to be ready for everything.
And you put her away quickly last time, and you know, she kind of can justify it as I got caught perhaps, but you see these radical changes she makes. She shifts her training camp, has all these new people around her. So does that show you that maybe, you know, it's not a sign of just I got lost? She obviously felt that some dramatic adjustments were needed.
What was the last part you said? It was a sign of what?
That maybe she knew what she had going into that first fight wasn't enough, because if she just felt it was a situation I just got caught, maybe
then
she
just do
doesn't
the
make
same thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I would think that no matter what actually happened with her, that she has to do something different, or you know what I mean? Like, you didn't get the outcome you wanted, you kind of have to change it up, I guess. But I'm just concerned with being the best version of myself. So, you know, regardless of what she's doing, I don't got to put any meaning to that. I just got to put meaning to my own life.
And to you, to go in and win a fight like you did last time so quickly, so cleanly, what do you take away from that in terms of adjustments you need to make?
So, adjustments, I guess I'm always adjusting, you know, little things. But overall, I'm just adding more, you know, adding more skills to my arsenal, and just getting better at the ones that I do better.
And obviously, you had the title reign before. You made the history of being the first two-time female champion. What's your goals for this reign? I'm sure you just want to focus on the fight, take it one at a time. But do you allow yourself to think long term?
I guess it's fun to like entertain those thoughts and possibly, but one day at a time. Just because like not only I have a huge fight in front of me, but I mean, COVID and all this stuff, like the world is crazy. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? So I really just take one day at a time.
And last thing for me, I asked a similar question to Kamaru about Colby, but do you look forward to this chapter in your career being over to get 2-0? Usually there's not a third fight, and you can have her behind you and move on to different things. Is that something you're excited for?
No, I'm excited for Saturday night. I really appreciate Weili as a champ, or as a former champion, as a formidable opponent. She brings a lot to the table that keeps me on my toes, and I'm really looking forward to it.
And actually, one more. What does Saturday look like for you guys? Like, obviously, Trevor's going to be out there with Justin before you. Does he just hang out back there? I mean, does it change how you warm up, how you prepare, doing these back-to-back-to-back? What does that look like?
I think that, back in Florida, we had Kamaru Kamaru and I fought on 2 cards together. So it's just kind of on the next level of that. I rely a lot on Pat, and he'll be holding pads for me, and then Chico, I'll be moving around with him, and then be moving around with Trevor when I can, and we'll figure it out.
Rose, right here. Your last fight against Weili wasn't that long ago. She's essentially just uprooted her whole life, moved to Arizona to rework her game. How much of an improvement can you make facing the same opponent in such a short amount of time?
I believe you can make a lot of improvements when you are focused on, strengthening all of the weaknesses that you have. When you're just focused on the present moment and just realizing what's at stake, and it's my happiness, health, and safety. So I have to put that first, and regardless of what happened in the past, I have to always be improving.
Rose, to your left over here. It might seem very obvious, and because of that, are you expecting Weili to come at you with a wrestling-heavy game plan in this one, or because of how obvious it is, try not to think about that?
So can you say the question one more time?
Do you think is it expected from you that she'll attack with her wrestling because she's been training with Henry and everything like that?
I think that, what to expect is that her wrestling has gotten better. How will that translate in the fight? Who knows? I just have to be open for everything. So, yeah, but I've improved on my wrestling as well, on my grappling, and so, yeah, I'm ready for all that.
When you studied her the first time, did you kind of find her grappling to be a little bit underrated? Because if you look at her whole career before the UFC, she grappled a lot actually and took a lot of opponents down and beat them there. Is that something you noticed ahead of time?
Oh no, I regardless of what I guess the rest of the world thinks, I've studied Weili up and down, left and right, and I've always respected her grappling. She has a lot of submission wins, and I've also observed when she gets in fights that if she's losing the striking battle, she'll kind of force the clinch or force a grappling exchange. So that is, I guess, that's not a surprise to me. Yeah.
And in the past, you've kind of spoken about the championship pressures being, a little heavy at times. How are we feeling now? Are those gone since you've been here, done that, or are they still always going to be there?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely a lot more grateful for just everything, like not just the belt, but just being here, be able to walk, breathe, be with you guys. Like it's just a lot more grateful. So yeah, I mean, is it hard? Yes. Like, don't get me wrong, but I'm just a lot more grateful.
Best of luck, Rosa.
Thank you.
Hey, Rose, I want to ask you about a bit of the coaching challenge because her team also now includes Eric Albarracin, and he's obviously got Weili, but he's also got a belt going in Bellator. And he was saying it's like, it's a competition, him and Trevor Whitman, because obviously Trevor's got the 2 titles this Saturday. Do you...
Who said that?
Coach Eric Albarracin with Whaley, Henry's old coach.
Okay.
Do you feel a bit of that sometimes the coaching? Do you feel like sometimes they like to outdo their tactics? Do you feel like the coaches ever get competitive on that side, on the cerebral side?
I think, that can happen. But I don't know. I feel like it's comparing apples to oranges, in my opinion. But like, I mean, I guess it's natural for all of us to go to war, not just the fighter. So I think it's normal, I
also want to ask you a little bit about all the other going-ons in the strawweight division. Marina Rodriguez, great performance against Mackenzie. Just when you're in this position, how much are you still paying attention to the girls coming up? Because you're obviously focused on Wei Li, but there's a couple players obviously in the mix now.
Yeah, I watched that fight. I used it as like inspiration and motivation because that was a really action-packed fight. That was super exciting. It really got me pumped up to just go out there and perform myself. So, hats off to both of those ladies. It was really exciting.
And then being in New York, obviously the site of, your 2 wins over Joanna. There's a lot of talk about, what's going on with negotiations and all that. Do you see her coming back to the title picture if and when she does compete again?
I mean, yeah, Joanna and I have had our rivalry and stuff, but I'm a huge fan of hers, so I would hope, maybe one day that happens. But if not, I ultimately believe she's gonna do what's best for her in her life. So yeah, but I'm always gonna be excited to watch her fight or fight her myself.
I asked you guys this back in Jacksonville, and I'd just like to ask you ahead of time. You, Kamaru, and Justin win. Whose after party does Trevor Whitman go to?
Well, I mean, I'm always low key, so I would, and I feel like Trevor's pretty low key as well. So I guess, if he probably gonna be tired. He probably might just go to his room and pass out.
Thank you.
Rose over here on your right.
Yeah.
You've previously stated that you thought that earning the belt was the ultimate goal, and once you won it the first time around, you'd felt like you made it. Now that you no longer stand by that, what is the pinnacle that you're striving for in your career?
To just live every day to the fullest, If the belt comes along with that, great. And if not, then I'm going to be gardening or farming, So it's really just enjoying every moment and doing the best that I can with what I got where I'm at.
So is it fair to say that you're more process-oriented now than maybe goal-oriented like in the past?
You 100%, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
thanks, Rose.
Thank you.
Hi, Rose.
Hey.
So before the fight announcement with you and Whaley, people were guessing that you might have other choices for your opponent. Was that true that you pick among all the opponent to Whaley?
I'm sorry, if it was, what was true?
Was it true like UFC offered you other opponent for your fight, but you choose among Whaley?
No, that wasn't true. Actually, like originally, I thought I was going to be facing Carly as soon as I saw her fight. And then the UFC would have rather me fight Whaley. So, I'm here to defend my belt and I pick my fights.
And you have a famous quote saying that I am the best. And then, so who else in this division you think it's the other best maybe, like you can fight next time?
Yeah, when I first think about it, nobody necessarily comes to mind, but as long as if I don't do my best, then anybody could be the best, So it really could be anybody, but I truly believe in my heart that I am the best when I do my best.
All right. And last time Whaley was saying that she fight more for friendship. So this time, would you agree that you guys are fighting more friendship atmosphere?
Oh, sorry, what was the last part?
I mean, I'm asking you if this time you think you guys, you're agreeing with her, you guys fight more for friendship atmosphere this time?
Okay, so I think I think friendship is always possible. I'm always open to that. My approach to fighting is slightly different. I fight for different purposes. I come here to, protect myself at all times and, be the best that I can be. And then throughout that process is when I have made, the closest friendships that I've ever had. Obviously, I met my, fiance, Pat Berry, through martial arts. The closest friends, Trevor, Whitman, Chico, all my corners and teammates and family and all that stuff. Whereas I think what she was saying is, she does martial arts to make friends. To me, it's just a little different. It's more self-defense, in my opinion. But I'm open to the possibility to, if it's genuine and sincere and honest, I'm the easiest person to get along with.
Thank you.
Rose, over here. Over back.
Oh.
So with such a mega venue like Madison Square Garden, sold out fans, what do you do to calm the nerves? And do you still get butterflies with all eyes on you as a co-main event? What do you do to calm those nerves?
Ooh, cry a lot. I just breathe and pray and just believe and trust and have faith in my preparation, my higher power, and just do the best that I can. So, but you're going to feel them, and you're going to have to just go through it.
And if there's one advantage that you could say, if any, that Weili would have over you, what would that be?
I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Rose, I just had one more to your left. You mentioned, expecting Carla after, the last victory. Was it kind of a bummer for you to get Weili instead? Because I'm sure you want to get that Carla one back. The story's so great, going from tough 20, and now you're the champion. Is it a little bit disappointing in that aspect?
I mean, at first I was, and then I put on my grown-up pants, and then was like, all right, let me look at this the objective way as possible. And I realized that Weili is the most dangerous opponent I could face right now. The tools that she possesses, I really have to be on my game. So, but yes, I mean, I would love to fight Carla, and I think that, she did a lot to deserve that. But at the same time, Weili did too. And so I just had to be ready for a fight no matter what. So, and then, turns out, I guess, a lot of people think that she might be wrestling more. So maybe I'll get a, similar type of a fight. Who knows?
Weili, over here. When we spoke a couple years ago, I asked you about your first loss in your very first fight to Meng Bo, and you told me that it felt like after that was when your career kind of started. Now, coming off of your second loss, does it kind of feel the same where you're starting over a little bit?
他说很多年之前我问你，就是你第一次比赛就是输掉，你是什么感受？那现在就是你觉得就是感觉很不好嘛？那现在就是你之前上一场比赛也有输掉，你觉得你是重新开始的吗？就是一切都重新开始了。
我从上次失利的那场比赛以后，我就认为我之前不会觉得输是好事儿，但是我上次输了以后，我就总结了非常多的经验。我觉得我们从失败当中学到非常非常多东西，所以我觉得有的时候失利也是一个好的事情，让我重新整理自己。
So before when I talk about loss, I don't think that a loss is a good thing. But after I lost last game, and then I think a lot. I feel the loss is actually a really good thing for me, and it's kind of like treasure for me to learn more about myself and about my fighting.
What has it been like working with Neuroforce ahead of this camp?
就是你和那个就是后来的那个体能教练 Neuroforce， 你觉得跟他们在一起工作，你觉得感觉怎么样？
我跟 Neuroforce 在一起，我觉得非常好。他们对格斗的这种训练是很让我有了一个新的认识。然后练完那个就是训练以后，我就觉得身体很有弹性。
So I feel really good about working out with the Neuroforce 1, and after I think they know a lot about MMA. After I work out with them, I feel my body is more flexible and more have more explosive power.
And you've also been sparring with women, I believe, for the first time in your career for this camp. Has that, have you noticed differences in doing that, and how has it been just sparring with women?
他说你这次训练营头一次跟女生打实战，然后你觉得这次跟女生就是打实战练习，你觉得有什么不一样的感受吗？
因为我之前训练的时候陪练啊，所有的都是男生，然后这次跟女生打，感觉女生跟男生还是有点不太一样。对，女生感觉没有男生那么强壮，然后就感觉比较轻。对，对我还是比较喜欢跟男生打，感觉更爽。
Yes, the first time I have sparring with a female partner. Before all my coaching team and my sparring partner, a man. This time I feel like female sparring partner is a little bit lighter and not as strong. But actually, I prefer to spar with men sparring partner because I think that is just more. I'm more excited to sparring with them.
Right, and last one for me. Obviously been working with Henry Cejudo for this camp. Has there been any surprises or like unique tricks that he's taught you? Not to give anything away, of course, but has it been just a lot different from what you're used to working with Henry?
就是在不透露战术的情况下，他觉得你这次跟那个塞夫多一起训练，然后你觉得塞夫多有教你一些什么特别的技巧吗？然后让你受益？
亨瑞教了我很多，就是从我们见面以后。从心态上到战术上，在技术上，所有的东西都教了我很多很多。我这次，我去了 Fight Ready 以后，我认为他只是，我们不会在一起每天训练，但是我们真的是每一天都在一起训练，每一天都在教我，很多细节的东西。然后这次我也收获了非常非常多。
So this time I learned so much from Henry. And both from mental side and also from technical side. When I just get to Fight Ready, I thought he will not spend a lot of time with me, but actually we spend every day training together in the Fight Ready. So I have learned so much.
谢谢.
Thank you.
Wei-Li right here. Wei-Li, on the embedded, Rose talked about how her team is so much bigger and all you have is Henry Cejudo, who's new in your camp. Can you talk a little bit about some of the other people that you were working with? I know you also work with Eric Albertacin, with Felipe. Can you talk about the impact they had in your camp apart from Henry Cejudo?
他说就是在 Rose 在他的前两天纪录片里说，就是他觉得他的那个团队非常强大，非常多人，然后说你的团队只有亨瑞一个人在帮你，然后你可以说就是在你的团队的其他的成员吗？除了亨瑞以外？
他可能希望只有亨瑞一个人帮我吧。其实我的团队这次非常强大。然后我这次，我中国的团队，然后教练也都来了，然后我的柔术教练，我的站立教练，然后来到这儿有 Captain， 然后还有艾迪蔡。他们都是非常非常有名的教练，还有专门从巴西请过来陪我训练的，还有 Zhang， 之前打 UFC 冠军赛的，他们都每周都会陪我实战，然后每天都会陪我训练。我这次我团队是非常非常强大，我对我的团队非常非常自信。
I feel very confident about my team. Maybe Rose hopes that only Henry is the only one in my team, but the fact is, my team is very strong. This time we have, coaches from, different countries and speak 4 different languages. And we have coaches, like Coach Eric, Captain Eric, and Coach Adi Cha, and, Brazilian coach Felipe and Pedro. So and also I'm sparring with John Maroga, the former, the UFC fighter. So I feel that the team is very strong and I'm very confident.
How important is it to bring a championship back for Captain Eric? Because I know that him and Trevor Whitman, they're in a race to have the most belts by the end of the week.
他说你能赢得这个腰带，你觉得对 Eric 会不会很重要？他说他 Eric 教练和那个 Trevor Whitman 就是那个 Rose 的教练在争夺谁有最多的冠军。
哦，是吗？那这次肯定 Eric 教练会赢。
I think Eric will win the race.
My final question, I know you're a fan of Tom Brady. What did you think of the fact that he changed teams from New England to now a new one? Did you like the move?
他说他知道你是那个 Tom Brady 的粉丝，他觉得 你对他换了球队有什么想法？
我觉得这是他的选择吧。然后，对，我觉得是他的选择。我当然会支持他。我喜欢的是他这个人。
So I like him as a athlete, so I'll still support him even if he changes the team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How is the addition with all these high-level wrestling training partners been on your body? So physically, how's your body handled all of the new high-level wrestling?
他说你现在身体怎么去调整这个？因为你这次训练有很多的非常高水平的摔跤选手嘛，你觉得你身体有什么调整吗？或者是你怎么去调整自己去适应这个摔跤？
其实我的身体对交感来说还是非常好的，然后我也没有想到我那么快，然后就是适应了那种打摔啊各种方面，就是各个技术的这种结合。对，所以我觉得我不需要适应，我觉得只是训练一些技术就可以了。
So I feel like I always have a good sense of wrestling. Before I came here, I didn't expect that I'll learn so much about wrestling in this camp and mix it so well with in my fighting. But I don't think I really need to adjust my body for the high-level wrestling here.
Hey, when you take a loss, lights a fire under your ass. So I've been working, making the right choices to put myself in this position right here, to put myself in a title eliminator fight, and to get that title shot.
Definitely. I mean, I know you said after wars you like to take time off and things like that, but the title fight wasn't necessarily that. So do you see the upside to this though, and taking a long break and resetting a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, so I fight twice a year. I fought Tony in May, and Habib in October. That's 2 fights in a 5-6 month time span. So I'm still going to, on average, fight, twice a year when it comes to my career. This there was a little bit, unclear path to what we were trying to do. With Habib retiring, Poirier taking the the title, the shot against McGregor for the money, which don't blame him at all. So yeah, just he kind of threw things into a little bit of a crazy little awkward thing. So yeah, here I am.
Yeah, and to come back for this, I mean, a fight that a lot of people are looking forward to with Chandler, but in addition to having your two teammates fighting on the same card for titles, what is just the preparation, the mentality as a whole being like going into this event?
It's been great, man. Rose works out, then Kamaru, then me, and we all get to, take a little bit from each other because we show up early, watch some of that workout. Yeah, it's been great, man. Having 2 world-class athletes like those two, their work ethic is second to none. They have very different styles, different work ethics, but they're so unique in the way that they work. So it's cool to see, cool to just take what I can from those experiences.
And I'm sure you've got this question already, but is there any pressure to set the tone or anything, or do you think just you being who you are, that's something that happens automatically?
Yeah, I think it's similar to wrestling my whole life. A dual tournament, a dual match. You go out there and your job is to win, but almost just as important is to inspire the rest of your team to perform. And that is, I'm embracing that. That's something that takes me back to my roots.
Have you seen Colby around? I know you've said he's one of the most despicable people in the world. Only pedophiles and murderers are worse.
I don't know if that was my quote, but that's a good one.
I think it was. But any beef with him? I mean, obviously you're just rooting for your guy.
I'm here to get a paycheck, and I'm not here to take a paycheck out of Kamaru's bank account. I don't want to fight him. So, yeah, no. I have a job. It's Michael Chandler. It's the only guy I get paid to fight this week, so that's the only guy I'll be fighting.
And what do you think this kind of does for you in the division? I know you said on Betted that it's guaranteed title shot. Is that something someone at the UFC has told you, or is that just your belief?
No, that's my belief. Yeah, I'm number 2. Yeah, who else? There's absolutely nobody else. So yeah, if not, we riot.
Who do you expect to face, Poirier or Oliveira?
I hope Poirier, because I want to exact my revenge. That's one of the most human traits, is wanting to exact revenge on somebody that has beaten you, especially in this sport. There's not many times do you get that opportunity. So yeah, that would be a great chance. But Oliveira brings such a crazy style to the cage. I think for me that would be a great matchup.
And obviously, you had the loss to Eddie and to Habib, but it seems like that Poirier fight really has kind of a special place because it seemed like the turning point that allowed you to become that guy who went on that run for the interim title.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's the only path I have to revenge. He's beat Poirier, or he's beat Alvarez. So with that, I can get both those fights back. I will never get the Habib fight back, and I'm okay with that. He's gone.
Justin, earlier Michael was out here and he was paying you respect. He said he really enjoyed you. He thinks you're one of the most fun guys to watch in the sport, but you haven't exactly been secret that he kind of gets on your nerves. I'm curious, has that sort of faded as you got close to the fight or gone higher?
Yeah, that was just in that one interview, yeah. I don't know the guy that well. I like the way he fights. There's not a lot of bad things that I could say. At the end of the day, he's trying to take everything from me. He's trying to take the money off my table. He's trying to take the opportunity off my table. He's trying to take my title shot. So yeah, I don't like him because of that. That's the only way that it's personal.
I feel like when people look at this fight, they kind of expect it almost to be like turning on a blender and just having chaos for a little bit and then one of you walking out the winner. Is there a chance in your mind that it doesn't look like that?
Yeah, I think so. I think, these guys watched Khabib. They saw him take me down. Many guys have tried to take me down in my career. He was the one that was successful, so maybe they see a path to victory there. I do think he's a smart guy, and I do think that he thinks he would be smart to try to turn this into a wrestling match for the first round or two. And so, yeah, that would, if he was successful there, which he will not be, then it could suck, but not going to happen.
He said earlier that your leg kicks are obviously amazing, but he said your punches aren't that special. But obviously in your last few fights, your punches have been pretty special. You put a lot of guys away. Are you surprised he has that attitude?
Yeah, I have 22 fights, 19 knockouts, 22 wins, 19 knockouts. I've knocked him out with my hands and my legs. So yeah, whatever. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I knocked. No one had ever finished Barboza. I put him out cold. Same with a few other guys, so I don't know where that would come from.
You mentioned the wrestling there. I'm curious what you made of Islam's performance the other day.
Yeah, it was impressive. It sucks for Dan. Late replacement. He wasn't the guy coming off a full camp preparing for Islam. That's what that was.
And following that, what did you make of Daniel Cormier's performance in the post-fight interview?
It was incredibly biased. Yeah.
Do you think that's going to be a problem coming up with these as fighters retire and become commentators, they still have teammates in the sports, they're going to kind of find it harder and harder to put aside that bias?
At the end of the day, I love Cormier. I don't, I felt it was my job that night to tweet and call it out because that's what I saw. Outside that, it doesn't matter. I think he knows that he should be in an unbiased mindset when he's doing this, and that probably, I would hope that that's important to him.
Thank you.
Justin, to your left over here. Would you say that you've significantly improved your wrestling since the Habib fight?
I would say, I'm a wrestler. I've wrestled my whole life. You guys watched that fight, and he got me down twice. It looked easy. I stopped a lot of his takedowns. Not a lot of people have stopped any of his takedowns, and I stopped, for the whole first round, for the first 4 minutes and 30 seconds. I was able to keep him off of me. I've certainly embraced it more. I've gone back and I've worked a lot more since that day. I've done a lot more grappling, that's for sure. Mostly for the cardio. It's a different cardio, and yeah, I need to be confident in my ability to wrestle and then stand up and fight.
In terms of exciting matchups, where would you say that Chandler ranks among all the fellow exciting guys you've fought?
I'd say it's one of the most exciting. I don't think anybody has, no one's as explosive. He comes balls to the wall for the first round. Not many fights has he not done that. And so that's what I'm expecting. That's what I'm hoping for. He doesn't want to sit back and let me fight at the pace Tony Ferguson let me fight at, because I can do that all night. So yeah, he's going to have to make it a firefight, try to get me tired. One of us is going to get tired. Most of these fights, you guys have watched this for a long time. It's come down to who's quitting, who's got more will to go on and continue, and that I can see that becoming a factor on Saturday night.
And in regards to those wars that you've had, is there one that stands out to you as the most fun that you've had in there?
The most fun? I was the most terrified of Edson. Growing up, when I was in college, wrestling, before I ever thought I'd fight in the UFC, I was watching this dude spinning back kick and take people to the shadow realm. I remember playing poker with my guys. I fought in World Series, and he fought somebody, and I think it was when he fought Benil Dariush. We were watching it playing, and I told all the guys, like, I'm going to fight that guy one day, and everyone was like, you're crazy. I was like, no, I'm going to fight him. And then, we got lined up against Edson. I was like, oh, shit, what the fuck am I doing? And then, to go out there and knock him out, and, I was a better leg kicker than him. My distance management was better, and, I was able to land that shot and put him out, and that was a fun night for me.
Best of luck, Justin.
Thank you.
It's no secret that Kamaru used to train at Sanford with Michael Chandler. Michael was in here. He said he's still very friendly with Kamaru. He considers him a friend. He just happens to be your teammate now. But did you have to have a conversation with Kamaru about, like, hey, I'm not looking for any, like, secret sauce that Michael Chandler may bring?
No, there's no such thing as secret sauce. You got to be perfect for this one's 15 minutes. Usually it's 25. The only thing we talked about when it comes to fighting is the fact that I've had about twice as many 5-round fights scheduled as Kamaru so far. So, I'd be a fool to try to take, I don't even know what the hell you call it, like, take advice from him to expect things that are going to happen. It's so fast. You're dealing with less than seconds and less than centimeters. So none of that matters. I have to be perfect, be my best self. And if he could beat that, then more props to him.
Hey, Justin, right here. So I think you've made it very clear you were waiting for the right opportunity, and even if you wanted to stay active. But I was wondering, just you're pretty hot right now. You've been one of the top lightweights. Is there anywhere you're like, I didn't fight for a year. This is a year of my athletic prime and all that. In the fight game, was there any just like worry about that? Because that's a long time to be off at a time when you're at the top of the game.
Yeah, no, not necessarily. There were things that needed to be corrected, and I needed time to do that. So, again, a loss like that will light a fire under any competitor's ass, and that's what it did for me. I went there and I started to work. So I think I needed it. Hired a nutritionist, a chef. There's a lot of things I've done different. The older I get, the less forgiving some things are. So, I got to take the time, take care of the body. And again, I fought 2 times in a 5-month period. So, I had this break was somewhat natural.
You, Benil Dariush, Islam, all managed by the same guy, all of you guys in the same weight class and doing very well. What can you tell me about how Ali does approach you guys about sorting all that out? Because obviously you got to do your thing, but, there's almost like a conflict a bit.
Yeah, I've never talked to him about it. Never brought it up. Never had it brought up to me. He works for me, and he works for them, but they're different businesses. So he needs to run each one accordingly. I don't know. If I would have seen him being like, yeah, DC, I agree, then I would probably been pretty fucking pissed off. But he knows that wouldn't be the professional thing to do. He's a great manager. He's a professional. And loyalty runs a long ways, and I've probably been with him the longest. So we'll see how this goes. I'm number 2. He's Benil's number 3. I love that dude. Islam's number 5. Like that dude.
Hey, he wins, you get a title shot.
Who?
You win.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, exactly. Or we riot, and he's right next to me rioting. So it is what it is. I trust that. I trust that if I was to get snubbed this time, that he would go to war with me like we need to.
100%.
Nice jacket.
Thank you.
Justin over here on your right.
So you had a few after the Poirier loss, which was only the second loss. Obviously, it's not good as well. You changed quite a bit defensively in how you seem to approach fights. So it was a lot more educated in terms of not just walking through the strikes to land your own, but to evade and to obviously still hit the opponent. Can you talk more about some of the changes you made after that fight to where you are now?
Yeah, I think both of those to Eddie Alvarez and to Dustin Poirier, there were very similar instances in which I lost. And they were exactly what you explained. My mindset was, let's see who could take more, And once I took those shots and understood that, you cannot let these guys that are this good hit you, you know, at certain times. Then, you know, defense becomes more of a tactic. So yeah, it's something that coach was trying to instill. And honestly, with the footwork that we have worked since day one, I was always able to do that, but my mindset did not allow me to. And so yeah, now with that, with experience, you know, you make better choices. So I think I'm just making better choices.
Hey, Justin, you keep saying it lit a fire under you after the loss to Khabib. Do you ever think about, you know, the months after, will he retire or come back, or was he just retiring in the ring and then he'll come back? Do you ever think about, if he did, you know, would you want that rematch? Does it weigh a lot on your mind, that loss to Khabib, and do you think a win here would put that behind you for good?
I mean, that's a lot of ifs. He did retire, so yeah, the ability to move on is much easier. If he was still here, would I want to fight him? Still, absolutely, but that's just not the case. And this is the most important fight in my career right now. With this, I get a title shot in the fight to be the #1 dude in the world at 155, and that's all that matters.
Okay, and Eddie Alvarez predicted that you will knock out Chandler in this. What's your prediction for the fight?
I don't know. Someone's getting 50,000. I don't know if both of us or one of us, but someone will.
Justin over here on your right. So we've heard you say a lot this week that you're going to get a title shot if you win this fight. And even Michael Chandler said he had his doubts about that. He didn't know if the UFC told you that specifically or if you assumed that in your own head. Has the UFC given you any indication that you'll get a title shot, or your manager, Ali?
If he's talking about himself, then I could see that. I mean, even if he wins, they probably won't give him a title shot. I could see that, but, you know, that's just because it was perfect. The only reason he got the first one was perfect timing. Perfect timing. But yeah, I don't know. I think I already said it. If I don't get the shot, we riot. You know, we go to war. I have to be biased when it comes to this, and you know, I'm not going to be around here for much longer. So if I was to get snubbed again, yeah, I have to do something about it. Whether that's cause a ruckus, but I'll just let my manager do his job. You know, I got the best manager in the game, so he knows. We all know what's supposed to happen if I get this win on Saturday night, and so hopefully you all ride with me.
All right, thanks, Justin.
Hey, Mike. Obviously, a massive fight for you to be back to. They're all massive so far in the UFC. So I know this is one you wanted for a while, Gaethje wanted for a while, and the fans wanted. So to actually have this happen, what's your feeling on it?
Just excited, really. You know, the way the last fight went, both of us, both Justin Gaethje and I had the opportunity to fight for the title, and that's an opportunity that neither of us took lightly. And you know, I thought the script was written and it was perfect. It was going to work out perfect for me, and it didn't. So that just made me even more hungry. Gave me another opportunity to reflect on myself, my skills, where I need to get better. And over the last, you know, 10 weeks, especially down in Sanford MMA, we've cleaned up some things, and it's a big week. It's New York City. It's the Big Apple. Here we are. So let's go, Madison Square Garden.
What was the toughest part to digest coming off the title fight loss? Like you said, you kind of felt like it was meant to be your destiny, and to not have that happen, what's the most difficult part to swallow?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just you know, of course you always know you're fighting in a cage against top-level opponents and 4-ounce gloves. Of course, there's always that possibility that bad things are going to happen. You're going to get clipped. But I had the confident expectancy that entire training camp. It just felt like it was perfect. So I think it was just more of the letdown. It was the highest of high. You know, this is where you want to be. You want to fight for that number one slot in the world. And had I won May 15th, I would have been the #1 guy in the world, and I would have accomplished that goal. So I think it was more just the hangover from the how high I was on thinking that I was going to win, and then I wasn't. But I had been there before. I lost fights in the past. I've learned some things from those losses. I've learned some things about how to come back from losses and how to deal with losses. And I think truly, you know, that's where your character is really tested. That's where your mettle is really tested in those moments of defeat where you can pull yourself back up. And now I get another opportunity against another top guy in the world, arguably the most exciting guy in mixed martial arts in general, against Justin Gaethje on Saturday night. So the stage is set for another phenomenal night. So
Yeah, and I mean, if there comes to motivating factors, I imagine a fight with Justin Gaethje, it's hard to not get fired up for that one. So, I mean, what's kind of the feeling towards him going into this fight? You guys have done some interviews. There's been a lot of tweets. Do you like the guy? Do you dislike the guy? What would be your mindset towards him right now?
I like the guy. You know, I do. I think you know, I'm a fan of the way he works. I'm a fan of what he brings to the competition. How he fights, the ferocity and the passion in which he fights with. He's a promoter's dream. He's a training partner's dream, I'm sure. So we're cut from the same cloth, wrestlers, small town kids, middle class families, scraped and clawed our ways to becoming all Americans, and now fighting in the top of the division of probably the most exciting division in the UFC. So I got nothing but respect for him. Obviously, when the cage door closes, we're going to go out there and do a job, and that job is going to end with one of us getting our hand raised and probably a handshake after, and nothing but mutual respect, because what the guy's accomplished inside the sport is great.
And last thing from me, what's at stake here? I mean, we know Islam Makhachev made some noise last weekend, and we have the title fight coming up next month. So where do you kind of think this fits in? One would think maybe considering the last fight, maybe you're Dustin Poirier's biggest fan right now, because I assume if you win and he wins, that would put you guys on a pretty good trajectory.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Dustin has said some things and you know, kind of dismissed me in the past, which I get. You know, these guys have been some of these guys have been in the UFC for a very long time. I came in and you know, made a splash, which you know, kind of brings about different emotions from guys. Obviously, I'd love to run it back with Charles Oliveira. I think I beat Charles Oliveira next time we fight after cleaning up a couple things. Justin Gaethje seems to think that he's either been told or has made it up in his mind that he gets the title shot next. So if he's the next in line for a title shot with a win, when I do beat him on Saturday night, I believe I should get the title shot. But shouldas and wouldas and couldas, and I'm not here to make demands. I didn't come to the UFC asking for anything besides an opportunity to prove myself. That's all I wanted. I wanted a top 5 guy to figure out either I am who I say I am or I'm not. I'm one of the top guys or I'm not. So I'm not asking for a title shot after this. I do think when I go out there and decisively beat Justin Gaethje in the manner in which I think I'm going to, I believe it's going to raise some questions. It's going to raise some eyebrows, and we'll see what happens.
Michael, down here. You just said that you have respect for Justin. I think while the fight might change that and there will be a handshake afterwards, at the moment it doesn't seem like he feels quite the same way towards you. Are you surprised at the level of irritation he seems to have towards you, and where do you think that comes from?
No, I think everybody's motivated by different things. Me, I look across the cage. I see a guy my size with 2 arms and 2 legs who's there to do a job, and I'm there to do a job. Same way I looked at wrestling. I never saw names. I never saw opponents. I just saw a body in front of me, and I saw opportunities to score, ways to score, and ways to put points on the board and win the match, win the fight. That's the way I've always looked at it. Obviously, with this, you guys are all here. There's media involved. This is a world stage. There's a lot of fans involved. So people see the emotion side of things. But Justin Gaethje's motivated by looking across the cage and saying, "I want to beat this man. I don't like this man," and that's completely fine. I think there's a mutual respect there behind all of that, behind all of the motivation that he needs to drum up to go out there and beat me on Saturday night. But I just don't look at it that way. I'm motivated by just going out there and doing a job and doing what I've done since I was 14 years old, which is hand-to-hand combat.
We're talking big picture here, and this is way down the road, but it was no secret that you wanted to fight Khabib when you came over here. Is Islam the next best thing?
No, not even close. I mean, are they similar? Absolutely. Are they brothers and teammates? Yes, absolutely. But I mean, what Khabib has accomplished, it wasn't Khabib's skill set. It was the mystique that surrounded Khabib's accomplishments inside the sport, undefeated and making every superhuman guy inside the division look like a mere mortal. So I wouldn't say that he's the next best thing whatsoever. I do think he is very good. I do think he is, obviously the way he dispatched Dan Hooker in the first round solidifies himself as a top guy. But when you start comparing those two, he's just not there yet because, this is his first time beating a guy inside the top 10. And Khabib did it for however many years before that. So,
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Michael here. You touched upon it a little earlier. You're both high-level wrestling backgrounds from small towns, but how would you compare your MMA wrestling to Justin's? We don't really get to see it much, but I'm sure you see stuff that we aren't aware of when watching tape.
Yeah, he hasn't had to use it much, and that's what makes this fight so exciting. That's what makes this matchup so exciting. That's why I woke up every single morning before my alarm this training camp, because I'm extra motivated, because I know Justin Gaethje's punches aren't anything special. His kicks, probably the best leg kicks in the division or in the world, but I've seen those before. But what you can't measure is a man's heart, his courage, his determination, his willingness to engage past the point of exhaustion, past the point of pain. So that's really the most intriguing aspect of this. But when it comes to wrestling, I've shown it a lot more because I've wanted to use it and I've needed to use it. Or people talk about, hey, are you going to use your wrestling or you're going to use your striking? For me, we got a loose game plan, of course, but we spend 10,000 hours, in every single facet of mixed martial arts: striking, grappling, wrestling, all the different aspects. And when you're out there, you're not thinking about focusing just on the game plan. You're just reacting and responding to what is presented to you. So whatever presents itself to me, I'm going to take. But I think I've shown it more because I've used it more.
And then Justin has said many times, after his Dustin Poirier loss, he kind of had to reevaluate his mental approach, so he kind of got a little into the moment, excited, had to focus. But when you're watching him fight, are you still seeing flashes of that wild fighter, the one that fought the Michael Johnsons and the Eddie Alvarez and the Dustin Poiriers? Even in his fights against these, he's putting these away quickly. Are you still seeing flashes of that Justin?
Yeah, I mean, you're never gonna take that out of him. But that's the beauty of it. That's why he is who he is. That's why he's in the position that he's in. He's got that. And I think as I've grown as well, I've tried to become a little bit more calculated, a little bit more smart, sharp, a little bit more of a veteran, a little bit more of a calm, cool, and collected and methodical instead of just being a wild man. Because you guys have seen my previous fights where back in the day, man, just come forward with reckless abandon. But the beautiful thing is that can't be taught. And that's what coaches will always tell you. That dog, that fighter, that crazy guy inside of you, you can't really instill that into guys. So when you have it, it's much better to have it and hone it than to not have it and try to gain it. So you're never going to take it out of them. I think we start off a little bit more calm and collected. I mean, neither of us are dumb. We're smart. Like we know how to fight. We're not going to go out there and just try to hit each other as hard as we possibly can nonstop. We're going to be a little bit methodical, but when you start getting into the trenches, when you start settling into the fight, it's going to be a battle of wills, and I think I can match him to it.
And I don't know if the word fear is the proper term, but like you've obviously trained with Kamaru. We've seen the tapes of you scrambling, rolling. He's now obviously training with Justin. Has that changed your approach at all? Like now that they are main training partners too up in Denver?
Kamaru Usman is a narc. No, I'm joking. He did. No. He came. He still lives in Florida. He came and trained with us. Actually, it was the first day of 8 weeks out. So it was like that Monday we do our drills, and he was working out because I was in the gym or I was in the cage and he was over there, and I walked up and I was like, "Yo, dude, you a narc?" Because man, Kamaru's a friend of mine. Still a friend of the gym. Still Henry Hoof's student. Henry Hoof still looks at him as a student, and you can't break that bond. So he's always welcome to come train with us. So he's a friend of mine. He's Justin Gaethje's teammate. The beautiful thing about the sport is as this sport grows and touches every corner of the globe, it's still a very small community. We're all going to fight each other. We're all going to train with each other's. I mean, goodness gracious, Ben Askren, Tyron Woodley fought Kamaru and Robbie Lawler on the same night, and I was training with both of those guys. So it's just how it is. But man, Kamaru is a champion, phenomenal training partner, a wealth of knowledge. He's not an narc.
Hey, Mike, I just had one quick one. It's kind of a silly one, but the internet's going crazy here. Your right arm, is that just part of your shirt there? People are worried it's like some kind of wrap, or is there what do we got going on there?
No, man, that's fashion. No, no, this is actually a designer named Greg Lorin, and he patches these things together, so it's kind of cool. Every single piece is different, but I don't know. I actually kind of liked it. I got together with my stylist Krista, and we talked about kind of the working man mentality. My dad made his living by wearing Carhartts. As a union carpenter. I was just talking to Coach Jason Stroud. His dad was a bricklayer. Logan Storley, who's here with me, his dad is a farmer. So, it's kind of a shout out to, even though we're here in the Big Apple, the mecca of fashion here in New York City, Still just a working man, blue collar kid from the Midwest.
I like it. So to be clear, not fighting with a broken right arm on
No, but I would fight with a broken right arm. I've always said if I can walk to the cage, I'll still fight.
Michael, right over here on your left.
Yes.
Another Bellator champion's talking about maybe coming over to the UFC, and AJ Mckee. You've been through that process of being in a great position over there and then possibly coming over. What would your advice be to AJ if he's going to come to the table?
You know, it's all up to the individual, of course. AJ is still very young, right? He's 20, 25, 27. I don't know. So he's still young. I mean, it's everybody called it a young man's game. I don't think you're really a true man and hit your prime till you're 30 anyway. So I think he's still younger than that. Longevity in the sport is so important, taking care of your body. But you know, I don't know when his contract is up. Obviously, he just won that tournament. You know, so kudos to him. Hats off to him. But things are different over here. Things are very, very different. So I've seen it. Over the last 13 months, the way things have exploded compared to just the 13 years before that outside of the UFC, it's just different, and that's not a knock on any other organization. The UFC just does it bigger and does it better, and they give you an opportunity. And I wish more fighters inside the organization and more fighters outside of the organization, the media and everybody saw that, like we see it when we're in the trenches.
Now you put your feet in the water a little bit in the broadcasting. We saw you on the weigh-in show. You did a bit of the pre and post show. Realistically, when is Michael Chandler going to go all in on being the broadcaster?
I don't know. I loved the experience. I didn't do as good as I thought I was going to do, but I'm a pretty hard critic on myself. But you know, they seem to think I did a pretty good job. And obviously, just like anything, it takes a lot of reps. But I love the sport. I would love to represent the UFC on ESPN and do that kind of stuff. But we'll see. You know, I got a lot of fight left in me, a lot of gas left in the tank, and you guys are going to see that on Saturday night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, we're getting kicked out.